Hey guys, Miha here. So in today's video, I wanted to show you the process of how I construct the head from start to finish. I'll be showing you how I've created this drawing here of a female face, basically the female head. And the purpose of this demonstration is to actually create the forms of the head, to put them in place and get like a 3D feeling of the complete head if you want to maybe use this as a basis for painting or for a more detailed drawing or a shaded drawing or something like that that you might want to create in the future. Because I personally like to start every painting or every drawing that I do with a constructional drawing, because it's much easier to basically define the forms and shade everything correctly once you have construction drawing in place. So I'll be showing you the complete process from how I start constructing the head to the basically completed construction drawing here. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. I hope you learned something, and also if you think that if you have some advice for me on how basically I could improve, feel free to leave them in the comments, and because I'm always looking for new techniques and finding out new ways to construct the head that can help me create better paintings and drawings. So it's a process of constant improvement. So if you have any recommendations, feel free to share them, and I'll be very grateful for that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and see how I've created this. So I usually start every head drawing with the circle. That helps me put see where the head will sit on the paper and in the picture, of course. Then I usually create two balls for the eyes, because the eye is actually a ball shape sitting in a socket, in the eye socket. So this is my process. You can start every way that you feel comfortable, but I found that this works best for me to get the proportions right and to get the likeness correct. So after I do the eyes, I start working on the nose. I really put these little construction lines to see where the nose is, and I'm really careful to really keep an eye out for the correct perspective. And here you can see that I'm just drawing in these shapes and landmarks that really help me judge the proportions correctly, to see if everything's in the right place and if the perspective is correct. So the foreshortening is okay, if we call it foreshortening, I guess. Now I've put in some landmarks for the nose, and there are like a lot of different ways that you can go in, a lot of different processes and methods for drawing the construction of the face. Some people use more squares or more like rectangular shapes or more straight lines, but I'd like to use this curvy lines because they flow a bit better. And you can also see that I also use a circle, like a ball shape, for the end of the nose. Some other artists use a different approach, but I found that this one works best for me. And that's also the point of everything, because you really don't want to like get a process and get a formula and stick to it like forever. You really want to, you want to try a couple of different processes out and see which one works best for you. And you also have to be flexible, because not every drawing or painting is the same. Not every face is the same or in the same pose. So it's good to have a couple of different approaches to use them in your arsenal, to use them when you need them. So for example, here I'm really careful with the eyes. I'm putting in like these little landmarks to see how wide the eyes are, and making sure that they're in the perspective. So from the camera view here, we have to like keep in mind that the right eye, I mean her left eye, we see it on the right, is a bit wider and bigger than the left eye because of the perspective and the angle of the face. Like we're not drawing the face from the front, but from a bit of a side and up. So you have to be really careful, because the eyes are the window to the soul, I guess, and the eyes really get the likeness. And if you mess up the eyes and the eyes are not correctly placed, you can have the whole face and everything else correct, but it will just look like something is off. So I've made the mistake of not like paying enough attention when drawing the eyes in the past, and sometimes I still mess it up, but at least I've improved a little bit, and I really can't stress enough how important the eyes are to get them correctly and in the right place. So I mean, and you also don't, if you mess something up and it doesn't look right, you can always get the eraser and just correct everything. And usually when drawing all of this, okay, here I'm getting the basic shape and proportions of the hair in. You have to remember that hair is also a big shape. Like a lot of artists make this mistake of drawing every hair individually, but I mean, you can do that when rendering, but before, to get the light and the form correctly, you have to like treat the hair as it's as a separate shape that's connected to the head, of course. And you can see that I haven't really yet started working on the lips and the chin, because I really like to get a couple of other things in place, because it's really much easier to judge proportions if you already have something on some parts of the drawing completed, or if not completed, at least in place. Like you can always go in with the eraser, so it's not you shouldn't be afraid of messing something up and going back in and correcting it. Okay, so you can also see that here I'm drawing some lines to suggest the shape of the face and basically how it sits on the head. And this kind of drawing is maybe similar to if you've ever worked in 3D or saw some computer animation where everything is in wireframe mesh, that these are like lines that go around the form and build a wireframe. So this approach is pretty similar. Like with every line that you create, it has to follow the form. And this is an approach that really helps me getting the shading and getting everything look more 3D or believable once I start working on the painting or drawing, once I start completing it. So I usually use this process as a preliminary thing before going into a more detailed drawing, or before I start doing anything actually. And I found that it's really helpful to use this approach when working from photos. Working from live, you actually see the 3D shapes much more easily. But if you work from photos, like the camera has a lot of tricks, and if you just copy a photo, you really run the risk of having your drawings or paintings looking like really flat. So that's why I think this exercise is really good. I mean, it's ideal to work from live, but sometimes we don't have that option. So then we can use photos and use this approach to make everything look more 3D. Now I'm really careful with the eyes. You can see that I messed up the pupil of the right eye. It was a bit too small, and I went in and corrected it. to make sure that everything is in place and that it looks like it should. Now, I'm pretty happy with this drawing so far, with the complete construction and the eye sockets. If I could go back in, I would probably pay a bit more attention to the right eye. It's a bit tricky because the angle of this face and the perspective is has quite a lot of foreshortening, so it can be quite hard sometimes to do it, to get it right. Now I'm just suggesting the shape of the neck. You have to keep in mind that the neck is also like a cylinder that and it's connected to the body and the head, so don't treat it as a separate thing. Here I'm just suggesting the back, but this is not the point of this drawing. This drawing is meant to just show you how I approach construction drawing on the face. Here I'm just putting in a bit more lines and just suggesting the eyebrows. Now, when doing a construction drawing, I really try to ignore the eyebrows in the beginning, because the eyebrows basically sit on the shape and they like start inside of the eye socket, then go a bit out and then end on the usually end on the edge of the eye socket. And also, if you work from life, or it's like a lot of people, especially women who are fashion conscious or something, can really like to shape their eyebrows. So if you want to get the construction right, it's really a good idea to ignore the eyebrows and then put them in later once you have the construction of the head set up. That's my approach. I mean, you don't take it as gospel, just develop your own. Here I'm just putting some lines in to maybe suggest some eyelashes and get some shapes in there, because eyelashes basically aren't really shapes, so I'm just suggesting them to get maybe a bit more likeness in there. And there's also a really thin part of the under chin. I don't know if I can call it under chin, but that is exposed, and you see I put that in there because it's really important to keep an eye out for that when working on the shadows and seeing how far from the neck it is, how far in the form goes and everything. So I've put that in there. And yeah, I'm just trying to define the forms of the hair a bit more, maybe putting in some lines to suggest a bit of shadows. Not really shading this one, this is just some style that I'm putting in to, I don't know, make it look a bit better maybe. And also a couple of more lines to get the 3D feeling going. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration I did. Here's the final drawing, final construction drawing. So I would use something like this to maybe start creating a real drawing on top of it or start painting on it. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked it, give me a sub or like the video or subscribe to my channel and comment on it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.